Please like and subscribe.
In this video, I'm going to give you 3 quick tips on brilliant ways that you can be more creative and have more fun, because I'm here to tell you that the main reason you should be making designs for Redbubble is because it's fun and not because you're going to make lots of money.
Let's go!
Tip number 1 is keep a diary. This is something I've been doing for a good number of years, and here's some of the diaries that I've kept over the years. I've sort of gotten to the point now where I've decided, when I was at art school I was obviously drawing a lot more and I was preferring a larger size, but as I've sort of left art school and started doing lots of other things besides making art, I found a smaller size is definitely better for doing the job of keeping track of things that come into your mind and ideas that might be of creative benefit later on into the future. And this is a diary that I finished probably a year ago or so, and it's one that I took on a trip to Thailand and spent a lot of time, this is before I started making pod designs, but spent a lot of time sketching in it, street scenes, stuff that was going on in my world. This is of a blind singer I ran into, but whenever I have an idea that I think might be useful for a future artwork, what I tend to do is I'll usually put like an asterisk next to it, and I'll mark it with like lots and lots of asterisks so that when I'm flicking through I can find ideas that might be of benefit. That's a picture from sketching in the dark on the plane on the way home from Bangkok. By keeping these diaries, you'll find that you're in a situation where you can benefit from ideas down the track, and when you start running out of ideas, you've got access to ideas to make sure. So you've never got the conundrum of having writer's block essentially and not having ideas that you can work on. Eventually you have more ideas than you can actually utilise. The drawing, of course, has become less and less well executed, but I'm putting probably more creative effort into the actual finished design. So here's some ideas. I keep this next to my bed quite often, and when I wake up, that's usually when ideas pop into my head, believe it or not. So you'll quite often find when you've just woken up, especially if you've got it in the back of your mind, your subconscious mind will work away at ideas, and as soon as you get that idea, throw it into your sketchbook and put an asterisk next to it, and you'll never run out of ideas then. And when you are at a bit of a loss as to what to do, like the other day I woke up in the morning and I had this idea regarding a train and thinking about, you know, the bright side of life, and that's resulted in this drawing, and this phrase came into my mind as well, which is, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel, it might be a train. So those sorts of ideas quite often come out of keeping a diary. So like I said, tip number 1, creative tip number 1 is keep a diary. Now it's time for tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to live the observant life. Now it sounds like a little bit of a Buddhist mantra, and in its own way it is. But what you should be doing is looking around you, because it's amazing how things that you see around you can stimulate ideas and create fertile grounds for creation. So do not just go through life robot-like. Look around you and see the amazing things that are around you, and I think that that's something that art is really about, making the ordinary extraordinary. And it's also about realising that quite often the ordinary is extraordinary if you really look at it hard enough. So that is tip number 2. Open your eyes up and start appreciating the wonderful things that are around you, because they can be really fantastic nourishment for your creative concepts.
And finally, tip number 3.
And finally, tip 3 in this video, and obviously there's probably way more things to consider when being creative, but I think these 3 things are really of benefit. So I've put them in as short a video as possible to maybe hopefully get you to stop watching these videos and go and make some art. My final tip is to take the things that you observe around you and put them together in weird and wonderful ways. Play with ideas, play with things. And that play is usually going to result in stuff that's quite often not that visually appealing, but if you play for long enough, you'll put 2 things together and you'll suddenly have something that you find engaging, and something maybe that you've never seen before, because I do see a lot of these videos where people are saying, go and look at what other people are doing, and don't copy them, but make your own version of it. That makes spaces like Redbubble and TeePublic and all the other sites very boring places to be. And I'm hoping that tip number 3 is something you take on board, and that makes things a little bit more interesting. Maybe hoping against hope for that, but anyway, that's tip number 3. Hope this has all been helpful for you. Please drop a comment down below. Tell me tips that you might think I should have put in this video, and also subscribe please. I am at about 600 subscribers. I need 400 more to get to 1,000 so that YouTube starts buying me that monthly beer like they used to. It was fantastic when they were doing that. So like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video.